Hello, guys. Today I'm here to explain some of the most useful and relevant information that you can come across for understanding people, energy, time, and the forces that shape existence. This is advanced astrology decan system. It was the original decan system that was combined with astrology and confused or lost to time. It was written in stone in the first known civilization in Turkey and used in Samaria and Egypt 12,000 years ago. We are used to, now, first thing I want you to know is what we're used to when it comes to astrology is astrology was used in Europe in newspapers for horoscopes to give people sort of a weather report to understand what kind of things could be affecting their week. This is useful, but what people don't understand is that your sun sign is just the tip of the iceberg when understanding your personality or understanding what time it is. This is a chart I composed for the time of day. So the first thing you'll probably try to do is ignore what I'm saying and just go straight to understanding your sun sign, which is going to be of very little use to you because there's a lot of aspects of your personality you understand. You can see this in a birth chart and you can see this in the Chinese astrology. Now, Chinese astrology has 12 signs and it converts, and it's the same cycle, just a year, and it converts. So the 12 signs of Chinese, the 12 Chinese animals convert to the 12 signs of astrology. So, and by the way, we're in the year of the fire horse, which is also known as a sign in Gemini, known for fluent communication, and it's when I'll just pull up the chart. Here we are. So Gemini is an air sign. It's an adaptive air sign. As you can see here, it says the daytime, but this right here, this section, hold on, let me make this screen bigger. You don't need to see me as much as you need to see what I'm explaining. This section is basically, this is the morning, early spring, and then this is like the middle of the day. So when spring has come into May, this is March, April, May, June, we're in like Gemini energy. So it's the beginning of the middle of the day. All right. So, but it's known for, it's most associated with this Jupiter energy, which is known for buoyancy, communication, temptation, socialization, flirtation, distraction, multitasking. Now, what it is sort of this potent, alluring aesthetics, like a cute energy, or like really where beauty comes in. It is really like in full cultivation. So now this energy, as you can see, Jupiter is in a lot of different areas, and there's a lot of other beauty, of course, is in other categories as well. But this is a potent, buoyant, kind of sweet energy, like sugar or something. So, anyways, my thoughts today were the relationship between each element has either a mutable or adaptive sign, a fixed sign, which is like representative of the element, or a cardinal sign, which is the more driven. It is literally that which starts out the season. It starts a season. It is a sort of the leader of the seasons. Um, so the funny thing is that things are just so mixed together. This really does show how mixed things are. Now, you want to look at the time chart. I got spring forward, fall back. This is for my time zone and Eastern time zone in the United States here in Michigan. Now, this is the key breakdown down here of this is the key to understand basically the map here. This key, you understand each section of these. Now, you can read an astrology book to understand. I'm going to try to explain some of these signs. But the epiphany I had today was how, for instance, if we want to talk about, let's begin with fire signs. Well, if we were to start with Leo, for instance, Leo is a fixed sign. It represents the middle of summer or the middle of the day. And what my thoughts today was, how does that after Leo comes Virgo, then Libra, Scorpio, and then when it goes back into a fire sign, the relationships between the fire signs. So it's like funny how it goes through all these different things. It bounces around and comes back, and it's in a fire sign again. Leo is sort of represents. It sort of like goes out and it represents. It puts itself out there. See, I could put it. It is a in service where it shows up and it's there, like the middle of the day. Whether it be in acting or you're going to some kind of job or whatever, that depends mostly on like what section we're dealing with. It can even represent pride to some degree, but so what happens is, yes, there's levels of just duty and then sort of swagger or adaptability. This is when the Leo's in its prime, and it's the Jupiter section is what it is, a very impressive, magnificent lion. And then Mars is when it goes into that, it kind of goes into a ridiculous amount of things. It becomes a little what it is just compact. It's life's contracting and expanding. So some of these elements are lighter. So Saturn is usually heavier, Jupiter lighter, Mars heavier, Sun lighter, Venus heavier, Uranus lighter, Neptune lighter. And yes, it does go twice there because when it comes to Venus, it's like a vulnerability. So to work out that vulnerability, and it's when it's those times when you feel like maybe you don't know if your prayers are being heard or that sort of thing, or you're in a time period of waiting, and you just don't know, and you feel vulnerable. So yeah, it balances out with the Uranus and Neptune, which this can be confusing when you're talking about planets. For the time being, don't think about planets in the way it's normally associated, but think of these as just decan categories to understand the science. Probably what could have been more convenient if this wasn't categorized this way, but this is when I done my research and color coordinated all this and put this together, I've been doing this for 16 years now. This is what was engraved in stone, Sumerian time. So in recent times, we have birth charts, and we're talking about the actual planets and the position in the sky. It's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the decan system, and yes, the nature of these categories can be similar to the nature of the planets as they are described. So going from the Leo, when it goes through this whole process where basically Leo's the middle of the day or the middle of summer, and then it winds down in fall here, or if you're working a 9 to 5 in America, this is when things wind down and you get off and things start to let up, or it's the end of the day in Virgo here, and it lightens up. It gets a little bit more sunny here, you might see, and eventually it's like you wrap it up, you get everything done. That's when you go into Uranus mode here in Virgo. But it comes back around, and the way it balances out after all this process is basically late at night when we go into the next fire sign, Sagittarius. This is when, well, it used to be I would have to go to bed as a kid by like 9 o'clock ish, and then 9 or 10, and then all these interesting shows would come on that were more dynamic. And Sagittarius is very dynamic and adaptable. So Sagittarius is fire, but it's adaptable. Now, what happens with fire when it adapts? It actually begins the night, which is colder, or the winter time. So this is how fire balances out with Sagittarius, and the adaptability can often be like very freeing for such things. No matter whether it's Pisces, Virgo, or Gemini, or Sagittarius. These are all at the top here. These are all the mutable signs. So in their different elements, the mutable signs are sort of where the different elements get to kind of like flow from in the process of the whole balance. And balance is not as much a teeter-totter as like a spinning plate that goes in all kinds of different angles. So this has been like need to know info just for people who are able or like naturally prone and able to understand such things. Intellectuals, scientists, these sort of things, astrologers, astronomers, they're all just different. Studies, this is 12,000-year-old study. It's been around. It's this decan system is what they use to create tarot cards, and also your playing cards, which were based on tarot cards. So the different elements of astrology also represent the different suits and playing cards. So the earth signs would be diamonds. The water signs are hearts. Earth and water are the elements that are yin oriented in general, although yin and yang is kind of a teetering balance between all these elements. As you can see, especially with the decan system, it's constantly fluctuating between easy, light, and heavy energies. So during yin years, we have a tendency to be more about like either getting our finances together, or which, you know, of course it balances out through all the signs, but more of a general theme to balance out the year before for instance, last year was the year of the snake or the sign of Taurus. That was balancing out the year of the dragon when all the chaos of the elections was happening. And so we were stable, we're counterbalancing that. And now we're going from the counterbalancing of the sign of Taurus or the year of the snake into the yang sign of the horse. So although you want to think things are black and white like the yin yang, it actually takes quite a bit of personal research to understand the actual balance of things, which is far more mixed together and complex and well balanced, thankfully. So but I did in this chart, I did use yang to represent spring and summer, and then fall to represent fall and winter, or daytime and nighttime. So and it is funny because nighttime is when we get to rest and relax and we can think, and we get time off generally, unless you work the night shift, which is actually usually a pretty nice shift to work because it's relaxing. You don't have to deal with as many authorities and constant pressure of other people watching, or other people's egos, or people trying to snake and get ahead and climb the ladder. So anyways, on a lighter note, Sagittarius, it's all the mutable signs have a tendency towards slenderness and attractiveness, but there's always exceptions to all these rules and situations. And of course, we are a whole complex kaleidoscope, every single person, of different signs being expressed in different ways. So it takes quite a bit to even first you want to understand the different astrology aspects of astrology, different astrology signs, and then you can start to understand yourself or others or time, which is why I'm explaining this to you now. I know this is I would say it's a little bit more explanatory than reading about normal astrology signs, but Leo is fixed. It goes into Sagittarius, and Sagittarius dices things up. It's quicker. It's like a ninja or something, or like a courtroom, or or like it deals with basically at Christmas time. So miracles, magic, magicians, all these type of things. And it's most associated with Uranus: clarity, focus, adaptability, efficiency, accuracy, playful, rebellious, inventive, redemption. Now let's take that. Now once that's come into play, of course, we go into Capricorn, Aquarius, and then we go into Pisces and into Aries again in the spring. So it's sort of like you go to bed at nighttime, you're watching whatever, you try to go to sleep, and a lot of times it's very interesting. At about 10 o'clock, you try to get up in the morning if you get up early and you're in Aries. And if you get up at 5 or 6, it's just like, right, it's like you gotta like almost force yourself up. And that's a lot of times what Aries is, or the early springtime. It's where you're not really thinking, you're just trying to get up or move, or you know what I mean? Which is what all these get a job, blah, blah, blah people, or I guess non-intellectuals, are just it's just the action of action, but then Aries has this sunny section. Now this is probably the most useful part of the sign Aries. It's really it can be like kind of a heroic type of thing. It's like, hey, okay, you're on your feet, and then all of a sudden your things are coming together. You got your coffee, you got dressed, you popping in the car, boom. You know what I mean? This is when things come together and it's fluent. It goes heavy, and then it goes light, and then it goes heavy again, where there's a sense of like it's just kind of like you realize, oh, I'm a little tired or whatever you're driving, you know what I mean? And this is like when you go into Venus, it's vulnerable, or it could also just be like your family. You go into this mode where all of a sudden you notice um, where it goes into a more relaxed energy. You notice a lot of times the animals or your kids you're interacting with, or something along these lines. When it goes into Taurus, not to get too far off topic, but yeah, so the Aries, it gets you started, and then then the next fire sign is Leo again. Now let's go into a different sign. Okay, the next would be Earth, right? Earth is so this is has to do with duty and function and like productivity, this sort of thing. Um, the fire signs are more about action in a way. Of course, all these things kind of counterbalance with all these elements here, which I could explain in more detail. These elements, they do break down even further. But first you learn plus and minus, and you learn times tables, then you can go further into more complex understandings. Just as you would on a Google map, you would have a view of the earth, and then you can have a more zoomed in, and then you could have a bird's eye view. There's just different levels of things. All right, so beginning, we can begin in Taurus. I'll do that since it's a fixed sign, and Taurus will be representative of Earth, and it also represents the morning, and happens to be morning right now, which is why I'm getting some things done. It starts out with Uranus and Neptune, and it goes into Saturn. So Uranus, clarity, focus, adaptability. This is when things are like kind of coming together. You might show up to work at 8 o'clock or whatever, and things are starting to come together. And then Neptune is it's kind of a epiphany, truth, ease, beauty, peace, restoration, kindness, considerate, understanding. So you're showing face. You're showing face to a job if you're working on 9 to 5. Or right now, I'm showing face because I'm doing this video. Well, so, and then it goes into Saturn, which is work, effort, function, duty, obligation, autopilot, tasks, staying busy, building. So this is when you're getting to work. This is just autopilot. It's just doing a basic task mode. It's not so much of a thought period. Once you get everything together, you're, you clocked in, then you're going to get to work on something, right? So this is the actual act of getting to work. Once you get a little bit done, you then go into the Jupiter mode where it lightens up a little bit, and you get, okay, look, I'm on the ball, and you might start communicating or whatnot about things with people in Gemini. But anyways, this sets up, and as the day goes on, once you got morning going, and you go through all these other signs, all this whole process, and you go wrap the day up, work day, potentially here in the US, and Virgo. So Virgo is adaptive. Now, a lot of times this adaptability can really bring a lot of success, but I guess a lot of different things can bring success depending on different angles. But so what Virgo does is not only is it duty oriented and efficient, but it brings joy into the situation. It's got a touch of funny to it. It's known a little bit for funny. It comes after Leo, and a lot of times Leo can be, when it gets all complicated in Mars here, which is authoritative, restricting, basic, primitive, excessive, clumsy, theatrical, loud. So this could be like when things kind of go ham. Okay. Then a lot of times it's laughed off in Virgo in the sunny section. And then after that, you might, oh, was that funny? You might go into this vulnerability mode for a second, and you might sort it out after that with the Uranus section. So it's a bit of a service in itself. It's not representative. It's mutable, and that mutable, it kind of lightens up the load of having to represent and just like in Taurus. So this balances out this Taurus, and then you go through Libra, Scorpio, where you wrap it up. You're at home and you're dealing with everything, and you finally can wind down and even go to sleep. And in the midnight hours, we're going to Capricorn. And, you know, in the wintertime, this is, you know, we're kind of working our way through winter, like mid-winter kind of thing. We're trudging our way. But Capricorn is, it's a sign associated with the goat. If you go to the top of a mountain, it's very cold. It's cardinal. So cardinal signs are, and just like Aries was getting getting started movement, this is a little different. Cardinal is, this is like a lot of times Capricorn is about taking on responsibility. Now Sagittarius does a lot of the work of actually sorting out a lot of the chaos, as does Virgo. Libra, everybody plays a little bit of a part, but Capricorn wants to take on a lot of work. Now when it gets into Capricorn Mars, it becomes very congested. Okay. And so it lightens when it goes into Jupiter, and it's fluent. We're sort of in that time period right now, and then next year or so it starts to contract, and you think it's, but there are some things that balance that back out, silver lines that balance that back out. It would also represent time period such as well, next year, and also the 1967, because in the Chinese calendar, and then it lightens up again, and all that authoritative, chaotic, complicated nonsense lightens up, and it becomes a little bit more functional when it lightens up. And then, and if you're dreaming, this could be like, you could be like going through like kind of even funny scenarios in your dreams at this point. But it's nighttime, and it's about, if you think about nighttime, it's like you're recuperating and that process. And then you go into Aquarius, and when you go into Aquarius, you go to Venus first, and then once you get through that like sort of folksy, like vulnerable energy, then you go into Uranus and Neptune, and this is like, so like a lot of times it's associated with Venus, but this is like the middle of the night hours. It's like that 2 or 3 a.m. hours where everything, you go outside and it's just like really mystical, and like that's a Uranus Neptune energy. That is like epiphany, smoothness. It's just like everything's kind of relaxed, and you can and you're like pondering, like sometimes on full moons, where you're reflecting and things are coming naturally. You're reflecting, where you get that real nurturing, that then goes into Pisces. Now, when you, after you get this pondering, this is a representative sign here. Let's see, I don't need to get too off topic. I'm talking about Earth. Nope, I've covered all the other signs. Let's go into air. Aquarius. Aquarius represents humanitarianism. It's like thinking. It has the ability to think big picture and understand, sort of comes from a place of peace where you can sort of manage and understand easily, and have these inventions and brilliant ideas and thinking and dreams and whatnot, and which also goes into Pisces um, as it balances out. Um, and this, if you want to say hippie or whatever, if you want to say art or music, magic, all these type of things, these aren't so much action oriented. Of course, they're mixed together with the fire signs. Everything's kind of mixed together to some degree. But the Uranus here would be a little bit more Sagittarius oriented, and we're all kind of a mixture of this sort of stuff. We're all a mixture of everything. Um, so thankfully, this is where a lot of the brilliance comes that supports um, later on when we get to the the beginning or middle of the day, just the start of the middle of the day, we go in this Gemini energy, or the start of the middle of the July, no June. When we go into June, it begins, and things start to pick up for music and culture and stuff. If you're warming up in at least in where I'm at, where there's winter and summer, and you get all kinds of events happening, socialization. Um, and This here makes it possible to enjoy, and this is enjoyable, sure, but it's a lot more buoyant and whatnot when you go into Gemini. It's like springtime versus the middle of the night or the morning time. Obviously, you're getting up and you're experiencing the day. But yeah, the year's picked up when you're in Gemini. You've gone through the whole process as the beginning, and you're in the beginning of the middle of the day. So yeah, so like you get to, but the thing is yes, it's representative of a sort of a magnetism, and I mean so is Sagittarius, but and a lot of other areas, but this it balances out with this, which is rather aesthetic and magnetic. Then this balances out later in the day. This is with Libra, the air sign, which is cardinal, and this is sort of like cardinal of, yeah, this is you're off work, and this is kind of your time, and it's dog walking 30 or whatever you're gonna do. It can be very, all the air signs are very social because it is a time period where it's yang and pretty breezy. It's pretty breezy for everyone, and it's aesthetically pleasing. So like this is a lot of times when um, you might be doing things after work, or the nice part of fall when the colors are changing, and then you go into Scorpio and all the leaves fall off the trees. When you go into Mars here, you go to Mars part of Scorpio, and just like all the leaves fall off the trees, and you can clean up the mess, and Halloween and all that sort of stuff. And then the fun part of Halloween, here's where it lightens up. So this is the nice part. The fun part is the theatrics of Halloween. It's a combination between things, but the sunny. This is your family fun section in Scorpio. I might as well move on to the water signs. Scorpio represents your inner circle, your family, your home. I mean, um, things that are more personal to you, that are like more custom. And so when it first enters the water, you say, "Oh, it's personal. It's mine." It's like, so and sometimes family can lay it on where it's can become over the top or toxic or whatever. And this is a healthier version right here, where you go into the sunny energy and you lighten up, and it's family. This is fun and family. It's a little bit more of a safe mode. Yeah, cartoons, these sort of things. Fat Buddha, you know. Um, yeah. And then when you go, so this is a fixed sign. So it's representative of, so yeah, water would be more or less like a family thing. Earth would be like um, more or less of a work oriented, service oriented thing, whatever you contribute with your abilities and talents to the whole, which varies. We have a lot of different studies and specialties out there that mix up everything, and thankfully so, because we wouldn't be shit without it. So yeah, Scorpio. When you go into the last section of Scorpio, it's really just some super like it's like can be like a whole whole get together. It could be a whole barbecue or just at home with all the different characters, or whatever, or in the neighborhood or whatever it is. Or then, if we're talking about water sign, we go through the nighttime, and I'm sorry. Let's see. The next water sign would be the Pisces. This is the dreamy, adaptable. So while Scorpio can be fixed water, it can be a little bit domesticated. Like could even be over domesticated or just right, whatever. Domestication. Pisces is has that same sort of um, community nature, but it can be magnetic, like Gemini's got that Jupiter. It can be service oriented. This is first section with the Saturn. This could be sort of like almost like a we'll going to church or something like that, because this is when it comes to Aquarius and Pisces, in the middle of the night and the time off, and what's unseen instead of what's obvious, or always seen. These are the unseen things, the other half of life that's not seen, that not need to know info by everyone every single time, but the ability we can take it back, and we all individually um, do need to know what we need to know about whatever we need to know, or for the greater whole, so it all works. Um, Religion, spirituality. We just went through the age of Pisces. Um, Hopefully not service to the point of martyrism. I'm not really about that. I'm really think that like efforts deem reward myself. So that's downright competent. And then it kind of goes, and then a Jupiter, which is like this really like attractive water sign. So this is where like people, it really music and um, culture and art really takes like more family dynamic, cultural, community dynamic, and it's just really plush. And then when you go into Mars, this is like also known as the dancers and dreamers. It can be, well, it's an adaptive water sign. So this part of Mars, it can both be discriminating, or if it's lighter, because there is, even though it's Mars, there's like ups and downs even within that. It can be um, sort of rad, rad. Yep, right here. This is a rad section where it goes between here and Aries, because this is so like Pisces is known for like sort of complete integration. And in general, the morning or the springtime, it's about going into this whole, the beginning, the morning. This is like it's when you start the day, and it's a little service oriented, and in general. So each fixed sign at each section here, morning, day, evening, night, it sort of kind of shows what it at the end of it represents. What it comes to, if you want to just put it in the box of morning or daytime or evening or night, for instance. So yeah, I believe I went through all the signs. Um, what I did not explain, okay, sun. It's not. I guess it's not self-explanatory, but the this category is fun, laughter, lighten up, cool, creative, like cool guy, cool girl, creative, adaptive, clever, playful, joy, and friendship. This is light and easy, and maybe not as focus on window shopping, or flirtation is Jupiter, like buoyancy. Sun is a little bit lighter, easy, maybe a little bit on the more buoyant or innocent sign, but they're similar. Venus, I did not explain this category. Kids, animals, downtime, tired, watching, observation, entertainment, prayer time. So yeah, that's a good time to pray because it helps even when you don't think your prayers are being answered and you're in a waiting time period. It's the best time to pray because next comes Uranus and Neptune when things come together and efficiency, like time of miracle and magic. That So yeah, definitely instead of submissing into something negative, maybe a little prayer and now and then might help you. And that's the decan system. I hope you found this enlightening. I don't want to go on much further because it's already a long video. And so I'm going by Freedom Waters on YouTube and most other things. If you look it up, you should be able to find me. Picture me probably. Good day.